interpreters are here. Okay. And then you take your alternate can switch out there. Okay. Yes. You stand up here with us. Okay.
You know it's phone call. I can get it on the phone call. Man. Like I'm trying to decide whether to go to the other one. I got a day where all the corners. I can't do it because a lot of them are still in play.
Well, we are where we are. So tomorrow is marathon, and of course we start opening up tomorrow evening. I did. I know that all long days.
I went to breakfast with Mario Diaz. It was just personal. You what? We talked about family. Oh, you want to? Yeah, he's fair. He's fair. I like Davey. You know, Joe Alcibon used to be there. That was pretty good. He can get you. I mean, hey, I don't mind being on the counter. They just twist everything. They obviously don't like it. They don't want an old white guy to get their narrative. I get everything everywhere I go. I'm weekend at the camera. Not Joe. I'm not.
Right. Well, that's right for Ray.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I was going to call Alice tomorrow. When y'all leave your office and drive up okay, go look and see what it looks like. The one right out here. Leave your headquarters. It looks awful. It looks awful. Yeah, I wish I'd have been there.
Nice to see you.
There you go.
Yeah, I see that little bit.
I'll stand next to the guy with the gun.
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet this morning. I saw his name on email. I just haven't seen him.
Well, I am too, so let's go.
You want me to put shade over your head?
I'm hot.
Would that,
Let's go.
does that make you feel better?
I'm hot. Let's go.
Shade him from the light.
Where's Brian? Where's Brian is back there?
Good morning, everyone. So we have several speakers here, so let me just go through everyone who's here, and then we'll pass it on to Jeff Lindner to make the remarks. Then I will speak, then the mayor, and then the rest of the speakers. We really want the public to hear from the specific stakeholders and leaders about the information that they need to have. So Jeff Lindner is here, our chief meteorologist. Chief Christensen is here, our fire marshal. Chato Woodard, plumber. Mark Sloan, our director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Glenn Albritton and Raquel Lewis. Ms. Lewis will speak from TxDOT. Paul Locke, manager of local government relations at Centerpoint. Chris Hanslick, who is the chairman of the board of directors for the Coalition for the Homeless, as well as Catherine Villarreal, vice president of public affairs. We have Chief Amy Ramon from Cy-Fair Fire Department, as well as Chief Scott Seifert from the Spring Fire Department. And I believe I missed some folks pretty much. Will you guys be speaking? Okay, all right, so the City of Houston OEM, and then there's additional folks here to answer any questions. So let me pass it on to Jeff Lindner, our meteorologist.
All right, thank you, Judge. We are anticipating a cold air event as it comes in. We have the initial cold front moving through currently, and we will get a secondary push of much colder, what we call Arctic air, as we get into late Sunday and into early Monday. And so we do anticipate freezing conditions across Harris County and the metro area as we get into Sunday night and Monday morning. This is what we consider a light freeze. We're talking upper 20s and low 30s, but it will be extremely cold outside. The winds will be out of the north at 10 to 15 miles an hour, gusting up to 20 to 25 miles per hour. And that will result in wind chills down into the teens and 20s all day on Monday. And so the preparation time window for your winterization precautions need to be completed today and tomorrow. And even tomorrow is going to be a lot colder than today. So really this afternoon, get out there and take care of what you need to with respect to getting ready for this. As we will go into Monday, the temperatures will warm up into about the mid to upper 30s, and then we'll go back below freezing Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. And it is likely, Monday night, Tuesday morning, and it is likely now that we will likely remain below freezing all day on Tuesday into potentially much of the day on Wednesday. We might just barely get above freezing on Wednesday for a few hours. All right, the next type of question is the winter precipitation. Is it going to snow? We still have some concerns with respect to the type of precipitation we're going to see here. It is very possible we see all three types of precipitation. Freezing rain, which results in ice, sleet, which is ice pellets, or even snow. It's possible that some areas get more snow than they get ice. It just really depends. We're still uncertain on the temperature profiles in the atmosphere above us of what type of precipitation falls. The point being going forward is that whatever falls, whatever precipitation happens, starting sometime late Monday afternoon into early Monday evening, is going to be impactful for our area. So it doesn't really matter if you get freezing rain or you get sleet or you get snow. Whatever it is, we are going to have issues, especially on our roadway systems. This is not a case where it's just the bridges and the overpasses. Surface streets potentially also will have some accumulation of this precipitation. And because the temperatures likely will not rise a whole lot on Wednesday, we could be dealing with whatever falls and however much falls, we could be dealing with that into Wednesday night, and even into Thursday morning. And so the big takeaway is this is really looking like a travel disrupting type of a weather situation where really travel is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, as we get into late Monday, Monday evening, Monday night, Tuesday night, and even into the days on Wednesday. One last thing, we are anticipating what we call a hard freeze across the entire region on Wednesday morning, with temperatures falling into the upper teens and low 20s. And so that is where we start to get concerned about the pipes and that type of infrastructure. And also the duration. As I mentioned, we could see below freezing temperatures from Monday evening all the way through midday Wednesday. That's anywhere from about 36 to 40 hours. But right now, the forecast is not for temperatures as low as what we saw in, say, February of 21 with the winter storm. We're about 5 to 8 degrees warmer than what we saw in February 21. Judge?
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you again, everyone, for joining us here today. And Mayor, it's great to have you. Thank you. I appreciate the partnership. So it's hard to believe that there is going to be cold weather and gray skies because it's absolutely beautiful outside, and it's going to be up to 60 degrees today. Tomorrow, everyone who's running the marathon or working the marathon knows it's going to be very, very cold, but above freezing and sunny again. So I just need for us to prepare and sort of separate ourselves from what we're seeing outside and trust these forecasts that meteorologists are explaining to us, and realize that there is some winter weather coming here on Monday, and we need to take it seriously, and we need to prepare now. By the time your outside pipes, your plants, your pets, and others start seeing impacts, it'll be too late if you don't do the preparations this weekend, ideally before Monday, when it'll hit below freezing. It'll be below freezing until at least Wednesday, possibly Thursday. There's a little bit of uncertainty there. And so just remember, those are days where it's going to be very, very cold. There may be, you may get sleet, you may get snow, you may get ice, but no matter where you live in the county, you're going to get one of those at some point. And so that's going to have some impacts. And there's also obviously the concern of mobility. And it's the same thing. We'll hear about it from TxDOT here in a little bit, but we need people to really plan to be in the same place from Monday night until the end of Wednesday, possibly into Thursday. So that's a request, not just for everybody, but particularly for our employers. Please be really thoughtful about that. It's going to be dangerous in the roads. Yes, TxDOT and our crews are maintaining the roads, but we only have the capacity to do so for first responders, for emergencies. We don't have the capacity to make them passable or useful in a day-to-day type basis. So I just want folks to plan ahead for that. We do have Centerpoint that'll speak in a little bit about the power situation, but we spoke with ERCOT earlier today, and with PUC earlier today, and they were very direct that at this time they're not expecting any issues. Usually if there's a gap of around 5,000 megawatts or less between the production and expected demand, that's when we get into trouble. They have mapped out expected demand based on what we're seeing, and right now that gap between expected demand and production is at least 15,000 megawatts all throughout the incident. The other thing to know is the weather this time, unlike 2021, is going to be impacting just our region. And so that's another reason why we're not going to see that power demand all throughout Texas as we did that time. And we're not going to have, according to PUC, a shortage of production. They don't expect there to be any issues, for example, covering on solar panels or wind production equipment that would then limit our ability to produce power. But we will have more precipitation than we did in 2021. So this is not 2021. It's not going to be that bad. Why? Because back then it was colder and for a longer amount of time. But because we are going to have cold temperatures and we are going to have precipitation, there are obviously going to be impacts to the day-to-day. I know a lot of folks have questions about warming center shelters. We have both. The city and the county are working on, I think, 35 total, and we have some of them mapped out as they come online. This is on readyharris.org. As they come online, we will have information as to what each one has. We will do another news briefing later on, if not Monday, possibly on Sunday, and we will, it's probably going to be Monday, and we will be able to give folks information as to how to best receive transportation to a warming center if they need it. We know that there's the population that is homeless, and also some folks don't have heating in their homes because generally we need cooling, we don't need heating. So we're going to be looking out for those populations. We've been preparing. We will be here already activated starting on Monday. Our whole team, the various partners, are planning on being here through the night, at least that day and probably the next few days until the incident is over. We are have worked with our precinct commissioners to make sure that they also have all the equipment and they're ready to go, and they absolutely are, in order to maintain the roads. If they see issues with EMS, again, that's really the only capacity that we have because of where we live, is we can sort of clean them up for emergency purposes only. So they're going to be doing that, and of course the various cities in Harris County are prepared. That's our work in incorporated areas. The city of Houston is able to do that for them. So we've got Harris County covered, and I know for the region, your jurisdiction will have that covered as well. We are constantly communicating with the school districts. There's going to be a school district call tomorrow afternoon, I believe, Mark, tomorrow afternoon. And so that's when they'll be deciding specifically about closures. So wait for that announcement. And we will do that as well tomorrow in terms of county closures. It's MLK anyway, Monday. And then the next day is probably, all these things are going to have to close. But we're waiting until tomorrow to have those conversations with the latest information. And so what do we need you to do? Pets, plants, pipes. We have Chato Woodward here with the plumbers, who's going to give the best recommendation as to what you do with your pipes. Obviously, you use your discretion, but we want to provide you with our recommendation. The big ask that we have is do not call 911 unless it's an emergency. If you are cold, make your way to a warming center, a warming shelter. Don't go to Bentob. Don't go to LBJ. Those are hospitals that we need for people who are sick, who are going through a medical emergency, and 911, same thing. So that's what we need you to do. Let me repeat my remarks in Spanish, and then I'll pass it on to Mayor Whitmire. El día hoy está muy lindo, el sol, el cielo azul, entonces es difícil imaginar que ya ahorita el lunes, inclusive mañana, va a empezar a enfriar nuestro condado, el clima aquí en toda la región. Mañana todos los que están participando en la maratón, bien sea corriendo, trabajando como voluntarios, saben que va a ser bastante frío. No vamos a estar todavía, no va a haber, hielo ni nieve ni nada de eso. El cielo igual va a estar hermoso, no van a haber nubes, pero ya va a empezar ese frío. Ya el lunes la temperatura va a estar a un nivel que impacta sus tuberías, impacta sus mascotas, plantas, y obviamente cualquier individuo que esté afuera sin protección contra el frío. Entonces, básicamente desde el lunes hasta el miércoles, fines del miércoles, sino hasta el jueves, dependiendo de exactamente qué suceda con el pronóstico, las temperaturas van a estar extremadamente frías. Aquí en el condado Harris vamos a estar en helada, y realmente es en toda nuestra región. Entonces, buenas noticias y malas noticias. Buenas noticias es que esto no va a ser como la helada del 2021. Si recuerdan, fue muy difícil porque no había suficiente producción eléctrica para mantener la luz a través de la mayoría del estado de Texas. Esta vez, la helada afecta solamente a nuestra región. Entonces, la demanda de luz, de electricidad, es mucho menor. Hemos hablado con la agencia del PUC, el Public Utility Commission. Me aseguraron, hoy día hablé con ellos hace como media hora, me aseguraron que van a tener suficiente electricidad para todo este periodo de esta semana que viene. explicaron que, por ejemplo, no va a haber nieve, no va a haber ningún problema sobre los paneles solares, sobre las turbinas que ayudan también la electricidad. Entonces no vamos a tener esos problemas de producción. Hay alrededor de más de 15,000 megawatts de espacio entre la demanda de energía que se proyecta y la oferta que hay de electricidad que va a producir el Estado. Entonces, cuando llegamos a tener menos de 5,000 megawatts de diferencia, es ahí que empieza la preocupación. Las proyecciones nos ponen a tener más de 15,000 megawatts. Entonces, realmente, de acuerdo al PUC, vamos a estar bien con eso. El Centerpoint está aquí, van a explicar ahorita en un momento cuál va a ser la situación en cuanto a Centerpoint. Entonces, no va a ser tan difícil como fue en 2021, pero sí va a ser un reto. ¿Por qué? Porque va a caer más nieve, lluvia fría, lluvia helada que el año pasado, por ejemplo, e inclusive que en el 2021. Donde sea que viva usted, si vive en la costa, si vive en el área de Hockley, más al norte, va a recibir impactos cuando caiga esa lluvia, bien sea, como les dije, lluvia helada o inclusive nieve. Y eso lo que va a hacer es impactar nuestras vías. Entonces, necesitamos que, aunque es difícil imaginarlo, que proyectemos ahorita, nos imaginemos que es el lunes por la noche y que no vamos a poder salir a las vías, no vamos a poder conducir desde el lunes hasta por ahí el miércoles, finales del miércoles o el jueves. Van a estar muy peligrosas las vías. Obviamente, tanto el estado Texas como el condado, las varias ciudades, vamos a estar manteniendo cuanto más podamos esas vías, las vías principales, las más pequeñas, pero como no vivimos en un área que realmente tiene un invierno como lo hay en el norte, no tenemos el equipo para mantener las vías de tal manera que podamos seguir un día a día normal. Entonces, las únicas personas que van a poder utilizar las vías van a ser los vehículos de emergencia, cualquier cosa absolutamente necesaria. Va a ser muy peligroso que los demás salgamos. De hecho, yo estaré aquí en este edificio desde el lunes por la noche. Aquí vamos a estar trabajando. Estamos planeando para eso. Estamos hablando con las escuelas. Mañana por la tarde va a haber una llamada entre las escuelas públicas. Van a decidir exactamente cuándo van a cerrar. También estamos determinando y finalizando los centros de calentamiento. Como ven aquí ya hay varios, vamos a tener alrededor de 35 y algunos van a ser solo para el día, algunos para la noche. Sabemos que muchas personas de repente no tienen manera de calentar su hogar, porque aquí lo que utilizamos es el aire acondicionado. Entonces vamos a tener otra rueda de prensa lunes, lo más probable, y vamos a explicarle ahí a todos los individuos, bien sea que no tengan en el hogar sistema de calentador, o también estamos apoyando a las personas sin hogar para que puedan pedir ayuda para llegar a esos centros de calentamiento si es que los necesitan. Entonces, bueno, para finalizar, necesitamos que protejan a sus mascotas, que protejan sus tuberías, que protejan sus plantas, que vayan preparándose ahorita para el lunes. Si esperan hasta el lunes, se va a congelar todo eso, y que planeen especialmente a los empleadores. Si usted tiene empleados, le estamos pidiendo directamente, por favor, no los haga ir al trabajo esta semana, no los haga conducir, es muy peligroso, y le estamos pidiendo a todos que estén en casa. De repente se ven las vías bien, pero no lo van a estar. Va a haber hielo, van a ser muy peligrosas y no queremos ver esos accidentes. Entonces, finalmente, bueno, también si tiene frío, alguna preocupación, por favor no llame al 911 a menos de que sea urgencia, y por favor no se presente a los hospitales públicos a menos de que sea también una emergencia. Bueno, vamos a trabajar todos juntos en esto. Es algo que puede manejarse si es que todos ponemos de nuestra parte. Y ahora voy a invitar a varios líderes de la comunidad a que expliquen con más detalle el área de ellos, pero primero vamos a presentar a que hable el alcalde Whitmire. Thank you again, Mayor, for your partnership. So we'll hear from Mayor Whitmire.
Thank you, Judge Hidalgo, for inviting me to this informative press conference. As everyone knows, I have built the foundation of my administration on collaboration, and certainly it's being demonstrated today. In fact, thank you for sharing your contacts as first responders. I would like to point out most of my first responders are spread across Houston, getting ready for certainly the Chevron Marathon in the morning. Regardless of the weather, the Chevron Marathon must go on, and certainly the MLK Parade on Monday morning. But I do have three of my really individuals that we depend on in a weather event such as this. Is Angela Blanchard, my Chief of Recovery and Resilience, who will be monitoring things and having our community so prepared. Chief Satterwhite, Homeland Security Director, constantly monitors things with HPD and other agencies to make certain that everyone knows they do have a place to get out of the weather. He's done a magnificent job the last 2 weeks of monitoring and running the Fondy Center. No one in the last 2 weeks with some harsh weather did not have a place to get out of the weather. He does an excellent job of encouraging them, very persuasive that it's in their best interest to seek shelter. And of course, Brian Mason, who a year ago was running this outstanding operation, but now we're fortunate to have him as the director of the city's emergency center, and he does not miss a beat, certainly collaborating with all of our agencies, including the State of Texas Emergency Center. But we're here today to focus on this weather episode. The city has been in operations for the last couple of weeks. We monitor the weather with the National Weather Service hourly. We've done so since a week ago Friday when we opened the Fondy Center, and now this critical, apparent critical weather, listening to all the experts. We have now, starting tomorrow night, opening 10 warming centers, and we're collaborating with the Commissioners Court. I really want to thank the commissioners for sharing their resources and their operations so we can work as partners. But we will open our warming centers across the city at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Seek an opportunity to get out of the weather. You'll have safe protections, resources, and we'll run that through next Thursday. We'll monitor midday Thursday when we believe we'll be in a position to say mission accomplished. But let me just also emphasize, tomorrow we want a safe, fun Chevron Marathon. Safety is our highest priority. We have over 1,000 HPD officers that will be on the streets along the route, along with other agencies, including federal agencies. So I would encourage everyone to have fun tomorrow, dress appropriately. If you see something, say something, and then we'll go right into Monday and have 2 MLK parades, same conditions. It'll be cold, be smart, dress appropriately. We have HPD and the same agencies that will assure our safety for the Chevron. We'll do the same for the MLK parades. So I'm just pleased to see that we live in such a great city, great county, great people, but we do have challenges, like most major cities and urban populations. In Houston and Harris County, we definitely put all hands on deck, and we're not going to do anything that needs to get done to protect our citizens from the elements. Make sure your pets, bark will be available at the warming centers to assist you with your pets. I will close with a very happy note that Rocky, the K-9 officer that saved lives literally last week in the shootout, is recovering rapidly, and I was told he's expressing he's ready to go back to work. So it's just really a great day to be the mayor of Houston and to work with Judge Hidalgo and her team. we're all better because we're much smarter together than we are separately. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Well, and that's great news about the K-9. We will now hear from Chief Christensen.
Good afternoon, Laurie Christensen, Harris County Fire Marshal. You know, we talk oftentimes about carbon monoxide poisoning when we talk about generators. If we were to have any power outages, we want to encourage people. Remember, this is just like when we run generators when the power goes out during a hurricane. You do not want to put them in your garage. You want to have them at least 10 foot away from the house. Now, there is going to be precipitation, so you want to make sure you're not touching those generators and doing anything to them while they're on. Okay, so you want to make sure if you do have to go out and check something, if you're going to get in your car to warm up, we would rather you don't. But if you do not stay in your garage. Remember, don't put your generators in the garage if you were to need to turn one on. Now let's talk about heater safety. You know, it's rare that we have to do that in this area, but the reality is, 5 times, maybe a year we have to turn on our heaters. Some of you are getting out heaters you hadn't had out in a while. Talk to your children, talk to your elderly, watch your pets. You want to keep a 3-foot safety barrier. Whatever you have to do to keep a barrier, do not allow the blankets to touch. Don't allow your pets to get too close because they're going to want to. You know, they want to warm up. Your children, maybe they haven't seen a heater before and they're kind of wanting to know a little bit more about it. You also, if at all possible, have a heater that has tip-over protection. And what that means, if somebody accidentally bumps it, it's going to turn off. And then fireplaces. Again, same thing. People may start running their fireplaces because of this weather. If you haven't cleaned out the chimney chute, then that could be of concern. If you haven't done that, I would reconsider turning on your fireplace. Second of all, if you do have on a fireplace, make sure you have that safety zone. Make sure nothing can get near it. Make sure any decorations or anything that you normally would have near your fireplace is not near that. You know, one of the things that we really want to remind people is we always believe a prepared community is a safe community. Test your smoke alarms. Today would be a great day. Tomorrow morning, if you want to get up and maybe wake the kids up early for breakfast, that'd be a great way. Turn them on and get them out there to have breakfast. But in all honesty, now's the time to check those smoke alarms. If you have a carbon monoxide detector, check that. Do they need batteries? I cannot stress enough. We always talk about having 2 ways out if you're at a restaurant or you're at an outdoor event. But let's think about it. If you are at home, have 2 ways out. For some of you, it may be that there's a window where you stay in a apartment or something that you're going to have to think about. Talk to your family about that. How are you going to get out? Make sure you have a meeting place. It's very important, whether it's your family that lives with you, children, somebody you're taking care of. You want to set that meeting place because we want to make sure everybody gets out and stays out. Now's that time to do it. When we turn on our heaters, when we turn on the fires, when we turn on the generators, we're going to start seeing more fires, and we know that's going to happen. We're the first responders, but you, the public, are the first preventers. And I truly believe that if y'all want to start, threads, we're probably all sending threads about the Texans today, right? Start a family thread. Start talking to your family. Hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Talk to the elderly. If you've got elderly family members, a lot of them, this is pretty tough. I mean, they're nervous about it. They're not sure if their property is properly secured. Talk to them about it. I'll also say that, and we've passed some of these QR codes out, just like on Reddy Harris, and I know the city of Houston, we're putting out as much winter weather information as we can. And I know it seems redundant and we feel like we say the same thing, but I'm going to tell you, as I get older, I tend to forget a little bit. Now's the time to start thinking about preparedness today while it's pretty outside before the game comes on. And then remember tomorrow morning, you want to test that smoke detector, check your carbon monoxide, and make sure you have planned an escape route with your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now hear from Chato Woodard with the local plumbers union.
Good afternoon. I guess we'll start with some of the lessons we learned from other past cold weather events. Your sprinkler system. You always hear or you read online to turn your sprinkler system off and try to drain it. Well, there's much more to your sprinkler system. One point being your backflow preventer. A lot of people in the past freezes have forgot their backflow preventer. They drain the water outside, underground, got all the water out of their sprinkler heads, but they leave a little water in your backflow preventers. In my opinion, those are almost important as the whole sprinkler system itself because, number one, they went up in price and they're very prone to freezing. So when you get to that backflow, and all the backflow preventer is, it keeps the water going one way that feeds your sprinkler system. That's all it does. If something was to happen and there was back siphonage, it would spit out of that backflow preventer. But there's two test ports on the side of that backflow preventer. You just simply get a screwdriver, turn it, it shoots out a little water, you are done. Wrap that up. They're very expensive, and they're very expensive to get someone out and replace them. So you want to get that done. A lot of things people forgot last freeze was pool equipment. If you have pool equipment, more than likely you have large diameter PVC pipe outside your home. You have to cover that pipe. I know it'll be difficult to find insulation of that size and get it covered, so we tell people cover it with anything you have. Any old blankets, any old sweaters, anything thick. You don't want to put anything thin, but thick material on top of it. The more the better. And then simply get a tarp or something plastic so when that precipitation hits it, it rolls off. You don't want the precipitation to hit the blankets or the jackets and freeze. It'll freeze that whole line. So you want to keep those covered. But also, most people have their pool equipment running during the day, 8-10 hours. You want to run that pool equipment 24/7. You want to keep that water moving so it doesn't have time to freeze, just like in your home. Moving into your home, some of the frequently asked questions some of our contractors got last go round, if they were leaving their home, which they do. If you're leaving your home, maybe you're going to a warming center, maybe you're going to stay with an older relative or some other relatives that maybe have a generator, and you want to know what to do with your system at home. We tell everybody we think you should drain it. You have 2 points to turn off your water feeding your home. So you have the main out in the yard that ties into the city. You can turn that off there, but you also have an isolation valve usually on the side of your home. It'll come up vertical. You'll have a valve on it. And that's how I tell people you know if your water is on, because that valve will be in line with the pipe. If it turns sideways, you turn it horizontal, and the line's going that way, that means your water's off. So you want to shut that off going into your home. If you have a spigot outside, drain it there. Then go in your home, drain it at the highest point, and work your way down. Drain as much water out of that system as you can. So when you leave your home, something goes wrong. They say it won't be any outages, but just in case, you want to go ahead and drain that water if you're going to be gone for the week. If you are going to be home, everything outside needs to be wrapped, plain and simple. That line coming up that feeds into your home, you need to have that insulated if you can. If you can't have it insulated, wrap it with something thick, tape it up. Anything plumbing related outdoor that is exposed, it needs to be covered. Then you go up to your attic where your water would go next. If you have exposed piping in your attic and you can physically see it maybe sticking out of the insulation or something, you want that pipe insulated, or you want something covering that pipe. Again, just in case power goes out. Then you drop down into your home, let's say your kitchen sink, your restroom sink. Open your cabinets. Get that ambient air inside of those cabinets. You're going to have your heat on, I'm pretty sure, so get that warm air in there so there's no chance of any of those lines having any problems. Get all that warm air in there. Keep them open, leave them open as long as you're home during the week and as long as those temperatures stay down really, really low. You want to keep that air going in there. And of course, everybody kind of argues about it, running water, not running water. I'm a big proponent of letting that water drip. If you're not using it, you use it typically during the day. You'll wash your hands, go to the restroom, get a drink of water from there. But at night, for a long period of time, typically you don't run water. You want to keep that water running, dripping. Small drip. It doesn't have to be a steady stream, just a small, small drip. If it's stagnant, it can freeze. So you want to keep it running through the pipes, most you can. Water can't compress. It only can expand. So when it freezes, it's going to burst that pipe. And the last one was PEX piping. Will PEX piping burst? We had multiple occurrences of PEX piping burst. Don't believe that just because you have PEX, you don't have to cover it, you don't have to insulate it, it's not going to burst. It will burst, just like your PVC, your CPVC, and your copper. So just take the proper precautions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Woodard. And everyone will be available for questions later. So let me call up Raquel Lewis, who is TxDOT's Southeast Public Information Officer Section Director.
Good morning, Raquel Lewis with TxDOT. Just wanted to make sure that you all know that we are out preparing our roadway and our roadway system. We prepare it with a brine system chemical that allows us to recover the system faster. Basically, our crews are out, they're starting today through the next few days over the weekend to prepare the system so that we are able to recover because the temperatures are lowered at freezing point. As you've heard, this is likely to be a travel interruption event. We are encouraging people to stay very situationally aware. We know that today and tomorrow and Monday will be really nice days, but the temperature will begin to fall. Once we hit 32 degrees and below, you have the opportunity for precipitation and any liquid to become frozen. That creates a very, very challenging situation for motorists and for drivers. Avoid any and all unnecessary travel. We are encouraging you to be very mindful about being in place and be prepared to stay in place by Monday afternoon, Monday evening for what may come for the next couple of days into Wednesday. We certainly want you to drive to conditions if you have to travel, but certainly avoiding unnecessary travel is the key in this situation to staying safe. Please be mindful as you see our crews out. Stay safe, move to the side, allow them to do their work so that the system can stay efficient and effective and we can recover as soon as possible as temperatures begin to warm later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now hear from Paul Locke, who is the Manager of Local Government Relations at Centerpoint.
Thank you, Judge. Centerpoint's been monitoring the weather over the past several days, and we're ready to go. We've got approximately 1,200 mutual assistance crews that will be here by midday Monday. We've got 3 staging sites set up across the region, one at the former Astro World, one in Brazoria County, and one at Moody Gardens in Galveston. We encourage residents to have a plan in case they are without power for an extended amount of time, and safety is our core value. If you see a down power line, please stay away, call us. If you smell natural gas inside your home, walk outside and contact us. And I would like to echo what the chief said about carbon monoxide. If you do have nausea, headaches, or dizziness, step outside, get some clean air, and call 911. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Chris Hanslick, the Chairman of the Board of Directors at the Coalition for the Homeless.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Hanslick. I'm the chairman of the board for the Coalition for the Homeless, or CFTH. CFTH is the coordinating agency for all of our homeless response systems here in Harris County and the city of Houston. We work with over 100 agency partners, as well as the county and the city, in providing shelter for our homeless population. At last count, there were approximately 3,000 homeless people in Harris County. About a third of those are unsheltered. And our job is to make sure that we can provide a safe, warm location for them as we prepare for the freezing temperatures ahead. We've worked closely with the city and the county and want to thank you for your cooperation, opening warming centers, approximately 35 throughout the region, for the homeless population and anyone experiencing the cold weather. We also want to thank the Harris County Office of Emergency Management, who's donated over 200 blankets. Our outreach teams have been distributing those in preparation for the cold. And finally, we want to thank the Salvation Army, the Lord of the Streets, as well as the Beacon for having their teams at the warming center locations to take in and help coordinate the people coming in and making sure we have information on them in our database. But let me be clear, while we are prepared and our hearts are with the homeless and the unsheltered as we approach freezing temperatures this week, no one should spend a night on the streets homeless and unsheltered. And our job is to make sure that we can continue the fight on homelessness, not just this week, but 365 days a year in this region. Thank you for having us. And if you want any more information on how you can help the homeless population and the unsheltered, you can visit our website at cfthhouston.org, or our agency partners. There's a list of those at the wayhomehouston.org, and there's ways to donate even before the freeze comes. So thank you. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Oh, sorry. I thought I heard someone say something. And the Way Home Houston obviously is a collaboration with the city and the county and the Coalition for the Homeless and others, which we really appreciate. We will hear now from Chief Amy Ramon of the Cy-Fair Fire Department, who is also the Texas Fire Chief of the Year for 2024.
I would just like to say from the Harris County Fire Departments and EMS departments, if you can stay home, please stay home. We need the roads to be available for emergency use only. If you remember during Winter Storm Uri, the hospitals were overflowing, and therefore the ambulances backed up trying to unload patients. So there was a bottleneck in the system. So if you have to call 911, please make sure it's for an emergency. Only emergencies should be calling 911. We want to make sure that we've talked about portable generators and CO. In unincorporated Harris County, it does not have the same restrictions as the city of Houston does. So there were a lot of homes that installed permanent generators with their homes, and those generators were installed too close to homes. So when the CO comes off of the permanently installed generator, it goes into either your soffits or into your weep holes. So even if you have a permanently fixed generator, please be mindful, have a CO detector in your house. There is still the chance that there could be harm. So we just wanted to make sure, please stay home if you can, only call 911 if you have an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we'll hear from Chief Scott Seifert from the Spring Fire Department. And Mayor, if there's anyone from your team that you'd like to speak, they're welcome to as well.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. I reiterate everything Chief Ramon said. I'll just talk about space heaters. If you have one and you're cold outside, you use that space heater. Make sure you got at least 3 foot around it. Make sure that it's clear of all things that could catch fire. And if you have a unit that has a tip over feature, it'll shut it off. So that's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, do you have anything to add? The last thing I'll add is we have a steer list, and so what this is, it's a registry for assistance in case of emergency, and we ask medically vulnerable individuals to register for the steer list, STEAR. And what we're doing right now is calling through all the individuals who've registered to make sure that they have what they need in preparation for this freezing weather. And so if you are a medically vulnerable person, or you don't have heating in your home, etc., call 211 to register. So what you have to do is call 211. After selecting one for English, you will select option 4 to register. It's quote, register for assistance in evacuation in case of an emergency like hurricane or freeze. So, you're not registering to evacuate, but anyway, that is the option to register for the steer list. And of course, we're constantly working on those options for them to be sort of clearer for the callers. So, en español, repetir brevemente que tenemos una lista, es el registro de asistencia de emergencia del estado de Texas, STEAR, STEER. Si usted tiene una condición médica que la va a afectar ahorita con este clima invernal, o si de repente usted no tiene la opción de calentar su hogar, le pedimos que se registre en esta lista. Lo que estamos haciendo desde hace unos días, es llamando a todas las personas que se han registrado vía STEER para ver qué necesitan y ayudarlas si tienen alguna necesidad que tenga que ver con el clima que viene. Entonces, para registrarse, visite el 211 o llame al 211 y después de elegir la opción del español, seleccione la opción 4, es registrarse para asistencia en evacuar en caso de una emergencia como un huracán o una helada. Obviamente no se está registrando para una evacuación, pero esta es la opción que le ayudará a registrarse para la lista de STEER. Okay, so we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for all the partners, and we will now take press questions. Go ahead.
You talk about cleaning the roads after the situation
So let me talk about the county. The county does not have snowplows, again, because of the region we live in. And so what our plan is, right, and what we do in these kinds of situations is just wait for the temperature to rise, wait for the snow to melt. And so that should be happening on late Wednesday, if not on Thursday. And let me pass it on to Mayor Whitmire, as well as our TxDOT representative to cover TxDOT in the city.
TxDOT is doing the work that we can now to make sure that we can recover swiftly. In the event that we do have an accumulation of ice, we will have aggregate that gets dispersed throughout our system so that we can provide some traction as necessary. Again, the key will be avoid unnecessary travel. We try to keep the system up and moving for services and goods and the ability for first responders to get to where they need to be, but this is not a treatment to encourage people to be on the roadway. In the event that we have significant accumulation, we do have resources in place in our district to actually be responsive if we need to actually move snow and accumulation off of the roadway.
So they have snowplows.
We have some snowplows that are being deployed to this area in the event that they are necessary.
Mayor, did you want to add about this?
No, I don't want to be redundant. I think the judge and certainly TxDOT have expressed you just have to be smart. And quite frankly, you have to think of the misery factor. Think how miserable you're going to be if you get on a dangerous road. It could be life-threatening. It could be expensive. So we will be monitoring conditions within the city on an hourly basis. HPD, Homeland Security, all of our resources and departments will be sharing with you what the current conditions are. Certainly we all know that have grown up here, the overpasses are the primary concern because the temperature change and the frigid temperatures underneath it will freeze our overpasses. So as we tell you those conditions, we would request that unnecessary driving is limited and stay at home. But we'll have reports. We plan to give an update Sunday evening. We'll even have more current information at that time. But, you know, as we leave here today, it looks like we can have our marathon in the morning. We want to be there at 5:30. And then we'll have 2 outstanding parades Monday. And then we'll monitor the conditions. And we'll depend on TxDOT on our overpasses, certainly our partners at the county and the unincorporated area, but HPD does an excellent job, whether it's a flood or a freeze, any other disaster. We're all hands on deck. That's why we're here today, to collaborate and see how we can even do a better job of keeping our community safe.
Thank you. And before I take the next question, let me invite Mr. Woodard just really briefly to share a little bit more.
Hello again, Chateau Woodard, Plumbers Local Union 68. So the image, hope you guys can see it, but this is perfect. This is what we want to see before an event like this. As you can see, the vertical pipe coming from the bottom, that's where your water's coming in. Right there, they have the valve shut off. You see it turned horizontal, the other valve on the other horizontal pipe. But to the right of it are 2 what's called test cocks. Those are where you come in and test it. You should getting this certified every year. You just turn those a quarter turn and water will spew, and that will take every drop of water outside of that backflow preventer. And we stress the importance of this because we've seen them fail. Most of our plumbers who turn out of our school, they have this certification. They can go test these, they can go certify them, they can go repair them. Well, in events like this, sometimes they'll get by. They won't crack, but they'll malfunction. So if you have a break in the line, like I discussed earlier, and you get your back siphonage, there's a high probability, there's a good chance that water could seep back in into the potable water supply. So that's how important it is to drain the water out of this apparatus. That's why I wanted to stress it. Thank you.
Do you want to talk about the cost real quick also?
Yes, the costs have went up exorbitantly since the last freeze, and you tie COVID into it. Something simple as this, used to be 50, 60, 80 bucks, now could cost you 400, 500 bucks. And that's not including the install. So, draining the water on something like this is the difference between paying $0 and maybe paying $700 to $1,000. So It's very important. We don't want to hurt anybody's pocketbooks. They got enough going on right now.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
We have them, and the challenge with, we have them, and we'll use them as necessary. Problem is, it takes 8 hours to set up, but we will work with our City of Houston and Harris County and other county partners to determine where the need is, and we'll establish them accordingly. They're en route. They'll be here. We have 1,200 mutual assistance crews that are coming from outside of Centerpoint to assist us with restoration efforts, and they'll be here by midday Monday at the latest. We've improved that. We've gone to a cloud-based system, and we can adjust it. We can add more space as demand or users come on.
Any other questions?
That's correct. So what we do is a chemical combination that is a brine solution, basically salt, that is applied and sprayed onto the roadway. It's affixed to the pavement so that it creates an opportunity to bind to the pavement and reduces the temperature at which precipitation will turn from, liquid to ice. That solution is being passed over on all of our Tier 1, what we refer to as the major interstate roadways, so that we have the opportunity to try to keep them open and flowing. And we will also, so some examples of Tier 1 is our interstates, Interstate 10, I-45, the entire loop of 610. We will make sure that we get that out on Tier 1s first, and then we'll go to what we consider Tier 2 is the next level of our system, which is the U.S. systems like U.S. 290, State Highway 6, State Highway 288. We'll deploy our resources in a phased approach over the course of the weekend so that those applications have an opportunity to bind, creating that opportunity to reduce the temperatures as the weather comes in. As we start dropping below 32, it'll help to keep the roadway from getting to freezing as quickly, and it'll help us to restore once temperatures start to rise. So does that? The intent is for it to be moved out in advance of precipitation, so it's not something that we have to continue to do. It's something that we have to do before the rainfall comes and try to get it to a place that it can be in place so that the temperatures help it to gel from the standpoint of being effective when the temperature drops. We won't continue to do that through rainfall. What we'll do after the rain and the precipitation comes is to monitor the roadway, and if we start getting below those freezing temperatures and we see that places are actually impassable, then we will work with our partners to make some decisions about what needs to be closed, what needs to be monitored, how and when we are able to actually get out and recover those resources.
It's 35 total. 35 total. My understanding, the county unincorporated areas, we have 25. The city has 10, but I may have that balance wrong. Sounds like that's the case. But look, we're all it's one and the same. We're all collaborating, and let me just add on the roads piece, and Jeff Lina will correct me if I'm wrong, but Normally we worry just about the overpasses, but this time we're also worried about the other roads because of how low the temperature is getting. So that's why, even though we have the treatment in these interstates, obviously it would still get too cold for that, but also, the rest of the roads, we can't treat all of them. But as I said, Commissioners Ellis, Garcia, Briones, and Ramsey have their crews ready for any emergency support. Anything else from the back? All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.